What's up, guys? I'm back here, and we had some announcements from BMW yesterday, and I'm going to go over them one by one. Now, we have the M1000 here. You can see 24 M1000, 23 M1000, that's actually ours. And we have a 24 S1000. I'm going to be going over the changes BMW announced for the 25 models and how it changed from the 24 or 23 models, and if you should actually invest in a 25 model if you already have something like a K67 for the 20 plus or even a 23 or 24. So let's start with the M1000RR. Now, on the 25 models, first thing we're going to notice here is they got rid of the aero discs. Now, I'm hearing some whispers that the reason why they got rid of the aero discs was because in crosswinds, it does tend to drag the bike from side to side. So they had to do a revised front fender that no longer includes these covers here. Now, the cover itself is going to be a matte cover now on the 25, whereas the 23-24 has this gloss carbon. Now, while we're talking about the wheels here, we still have the carbon wheels on to be carried into the 25. Now, I know a lot of people thought it didn't happen in 24. It includes this one, which I think there was just kind of a mix-up at BMW that made it for an order for 24s to have forged wheels instead of carbon wheels. So you see a lot of these M1000s and the 24s having forged wheels. Kind of interesting, but the 25s are going to carry on with the carbon wheels. Let's move on to the wings here. Now, they revised the wings from the 23-24 models to a more of a matte carbon and a different look completely on the wings themselves, which provide 13.2 more pounds of downforce, 186 miles per hour. That's what BMW is claiming. And probably the most striking difference between the 24 and 25 is going to be the fact that they went to a plastic fairing. So now they have plastic here, they have plastic on the front fairing here, they have plastic here, they have plastic here, they have plastic here, they have plastic pretty much everywhere. Even the belly pan is plastic now. So if you like the carbon look, the 23-24 is definitely more for you than the 25 because of that plastic look, which I don't like. In my opinion, that's an L for BMW. They kind of dropped the ball there. They should have kept the carbon theme all the way through the bike or all the way through the M, because this is what really set this bike apart. When people walk around this bike, they see the carbon. That's the most standout feature about this bike. And even the carbon here, around here, this is actual real carbon fairing stay. I mean, it is thick carbon. It's not just a cover, it is real carbon. This is actually changed as well for 25, unfortunately. No more carbon. It's going to kind of just mirror the S, which, again, another L, in my opinion, right here. Look at all the carbon. I mean, you look deep in this bike, there's carbon everywhere. Carbon, carbon, carbon. That's what, all the little details in here. Everything is carbon. That's what's so beautiful about this bike and why it costs the extra money. Everything is carbon on this bike, but we're not getting carbon on the 25. Now, you can get a carbon package for the bike itself, and which will include the hugger, the chain, the tank huggers right here. You can get some carbon on it, but it's not going to have all these fairings in carbon, unfortunately. Now let's talk about what everyone wants to talk about here, and that's the changes to the engine. Now, BMW has revised their head design. Of course, the head's sitting right around here in the bike, so I can't really get a good shot of the head. But the head is going to be revised now with the new tulip valve design. So that means we have some titanium valves here. They're changing a few things up on there to give you a little more power. And they've upped the compression from 13.5 to 1 to 14.5 to 1. So 13.5 to 1 to 14.5 to 1. That's a huge increase in compression right there. And along with that increase in compression, we've actually increased the throttle valve. So we have the air box up top here, and there's 4 individual, basically, throttle bodies here, the throttle valves. Those went from 48 millimeters to 52 millimeters. So we're trying to gulp in more air here, and that gives us a little more power up top. Now, while they're claiming more power on the motorcycle, a few more horsepower, they're still saying 205 horsepower in the US, and we all know that's because of the restrictions in the US and the more strict, or at least the changes for the more strict Euro 5 plus restrictions we have in Europe. We also went from 72-degree turn here to 58 degrees. That means we're going to have more throttle response, or seemingly more throttle response, because we have less of a twist here. Now, this is a feature a lot of track guys and racers will love. A lot of people that cruise it just cruise it like this, but if you're a track guy and you've got your hand here, you're supposed to, and you're twisting it, now your hand feels like it's kind of in an awkward position. So it'll actually lessen that a little bit more, so it feels more natural to give it a full throttle turn and then also be at your natural resting position while you're riding. And another odd feature here we're going to be getting is going to be the slide control, which usually goes right here, and I'll show you on the 25, or sorry, this is the 24 here. This is the slide control module right here. Now, the 24's got this treatment for the S1000RR, but did not get it for the M1000RR, which is funny because usually the M1000 gets things first and then it trickles down to the S1000. But this is the one thing that BMW did not have for the M1000RR when it was debuted in 23 and 24, and now the 25 is getting it. Now with the brake slide assist algorithm, what this allows the bike to do is actually go into a turn or come out of a turn a little bit sideways. So you actually pitch the back end of the bike out a little bit and come into a drift while you're coming out of the turn. And those controls will all be under the Race Pro menu, just like the S1000. As far as chassis improvements go, BMW has improved the chassis on the M. We've got a new engine mount on the rear side of the motor here. And we've got differences in the actual chassis itself that help the bike get around the turns a little bit quicker. These changes also include parts of the steering head that have been made more flexible and more stiff at the same time, apparently. they said both things in the video. And that's going to do it for the changes on the 25 M1000RR. Now it's time to move on to the S1000RR changes, which are more substantial as far as aesthetics go, but less substantial as far as engine stuff goes. As far as the engine and performance goes in the 24 versus the 25, there is no change to the engine. That means there's going to be no change to the M1000XR and no change to the M1000 single R, although the aesthetics of the single R did change as well. Now let's talk about the obvious stuff, and that's going to be the aesthetics of the bike. Now they've changed a lot of the fairings on the S1000RR, including wings. They made them gigantic. They actually made this bike look more like an M1000RR than an S1000RR, in my opinion, where they made this bulbous kind of look to it, to the arrow that directs around the rider. And the wings themselves went up 13.2 pounds of downforce, just like the M1000RR, to a claimed 50.9 pounds of downforce at 186 miles per hour. That's what BMW is claiming from the wings themselves. We can actually see the panel here is changed too, to accommodate the new fairings. And we actually see the mid fairing has changed, but it looks like all the bolting is about the same. So what I'm going to do here is when we get our 25 models, I'm going to take our 23, I'm going to try and swap all of the parts from the 23 to the 25 and let you guys know exactly what fits and what doesn't fit. The subframe actually went back to a different color again. So they went for black for 23 and 24, and now it's back to this whitish, grayish color for 25. We also have a new front fender that's been revised for the 25 model that actually directs air away from the bike and into the brakes more to cool it down for trek scenarios. The only actual performance increase, which actually isn't really a performance increase, it's a seeming performance increase, is the same throttle we're going to get in that M1000, which is the 58-degree turn instead of the 72-degree turn, which I think a lot of riders will like. Now, as far as color options go for 25, we've got black, we've got gray, and we've got the Motorsports or the BMW colors, the tricolor one that's basically a white color. For the M1000, we're going to have the black, the traditional M1000, or at least traditional from 23, and then also the white one that's going to be the non-competition. All right, that's going to wrap up our comparison for the 23, 24, and 25 models. Now, like I said, when we get our 25 S1000RR, we're going to break it down, compare all the parts, show you guys how it's tuned, exactly what has changed in the software itself, because every single year BMW does something a little bit different in the software. It's like the M1000RR was a big step up in software. We expect another step up for the M1000RR and the S1000RR. Now, if they take the software from the 23 and 24 M1000RR and put it into the S1000RR, it's going to be a smoother and more refined ride. So when we get it in our hands, we'll see for sure 100%. I think that's going to do it for a comparison here, and I'll see you guys in the next one.